Kyle Richards removes Mauricio photos from her house amid split. During season 14, episode 12 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Kyle Richards walked into Dorit Kemsley's house and was met with a photo display dedicated to her marriage to Paul P.K. Kemsley. Naturally, it got her thinking about how her own estranged marriage with Mauricio Umansky is represented in her home. "You're just as bad as me with photos. This looks like a shrine," Kyle told her friend at the time. Eventually, Kyle decided to make some changes. "I just last week took the photos down next to my bed," explained the mom of four during the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show. "I left the family ones up and then put the other ones of just Mao and me in the drawer. It was time. I mean, he definitely doesn't have them up in his condo." Jennifer Tilly took down a photo of Mauricio Umansky in Kyle Richards' house. Prior to Kyle taking it upon herself to redecorate, her friends did some of the work for her. In her own after-show interview, Jennifer Tilly revealed she'd hidden a photo of Kyle and Mauricio kissing that was displayed in their Encino home. "We were at her house. There were pictures of Kyle and Mauricio all over, and there was one at the bar where they're literally kissing each other on the lips. I said, it's like she's waiting for him to come back. And I said, you need to get rid of these pictures. And she's like, well, they're all over the house," Jennifer explained. Thus, she took it upon herself to take the photo down and put it in a drawer, though she suspected Kyle put it right back. "It did seem like she wanted to keep everything the way that it was, because it seemed like she was in a state of waiting," Jennifer added. Kyle Richards shocks Mauricio by redecorating their house. Removing the photos isn't the only change Kyle has made to the house since Mauricio moved out. On season 14, episode 3, Mauricio visited Kyle and was surprised to see some updates. "Oh my God, you painted the bathroom," Mauricio said. "I love the gray wall color. I think it looks great." Next, Kyle showed him a couple of wallpaper samples to get his opinion. Kyle then went on to share another part of the home that looked different. "I may or may not have put some of my things in your closet because I needed some space, and I was like, it's just sitting there," Kyle told Mauricio, to which he responded, "Oh my God." Kyle Richards removes Mauricio photos from her house amid split. Kyle Richards, a star of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, has always been known for her glamorous lifestyle and the incredible homes she has showcased on the show. As a mother of four, an entrepreneur, and a member of one of the most well-known families in Beverly Hills, Kyle's life has been both fascinating and transparent to the public. However, in recent months, Kyle has found herself navigating a much more personal and public chapter of her life: the unraveling of her marriage to Mauricio Umansky, the celebrated real estate mogul. It's in this context that Kyle's decision to take down photos of her and Mauricio from their family home became a significant, if quietly symbolic, moment for fans and those following her journey. What was once a home that showcased the love and success of a couple now reflected the discomfort of two people facing the reality of their strained relationship. Kyle, known for her attention to detail, reflected on how her home, a space that should have been comforting, was instead a shrine to a love that was no longer. The shrine that was. During season 14, episode 12 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Kyle paid a visit to her good friend Dorit Kemsley's house, where she was immediately struck by the many photos of Dorit and her husband, Paul P.K. Kemsley. "You're just as bad as me with photos. This looks like a shrine," Kyle joked as she walked around the home, admiring Dorit's overtly romantic display of her relationship with PK. While Kyle's comment was lighthearted, it mirrored a thought that had been lingering in her mind for some time. How did her own marriage to Mauricio look now, hanging prominently on the walls of her own home? In the privacy of her home, she had become increasingly aware that the photographs of her and Mauricio were no longer symbols of celebration or love. They were reminders of a relationship that had shifted, where the distance between them was growing. They no longer felt like symbols of unity, but rather representations of a time that felt farther away with each passing day. The idea of having these images present, especially in intimate spaces like next to her bed, began to feel like an unnecessary tether to a reality she was no longer in. Kyle's admission that she had taken the photos down a week earlier was both practical and emotional. "I just, last week, took the photos down next to my bed," Kyle explained in the after show. "I left the family ones up and then put the other ones of just Mao and me in the drawer. It was time. I mean, he definitely doesn't have them up in his condo." The decision to move the photos to a drawer was less about erasing the past and more about acknowledging that she needed to create a space where she could process what was happening in her life without constant visual reminders of her marriage. Jennifer Tilly's role in the change. Before Kyle took the step of removing the photos herself, it seems that her friends, particularly actress Jennifer Tilly, had already taken matters into their own hands. During a revealing interview, Jennifer shared that she had, in fact, removed one of the most prominent photos of Kyle and Mauricio from the house. Jennifer recalled visiting Kyle's home, where they found a framed photo of Kyle and Mauricio kissing, displayed prominently at the bar. It was an image of love and affection that, in Jennifer's eyes, no longer reflected the current state of Kyle and Mauricio's relationship. Jennifer's intuition told her that Kyle might still be holding on to the hope of reconciliation, and so, with what could be described as a mix of care and practicality, Jennifer decided to take action. She described the scene in the after-show interview, saying, "We were at her house. There were pictures of Kyle and Mauricio all over, and there was one at the bar where they're literally kissing each other on the lips. I said, it's like she's waiting for him to come back, and I said, you need to get rid of these pictures. And she's like, well, they're all over the house." With that, Jennifer took it upon herself to remove the photograph and place it in a drawer, hoping that Kyle would consider doing the same. However, Jennifer was also keenly aware that Kyle might simply put the photo back in its place, as though nothing had changed. Jennifer's words echoed with a level of tenderness and understanding, as she knew that Kyle, in her own way, was still trying to hold on to something, waiting for it to return to the way it once was. Jennifer remarked on this delicate tension, saying, "It did seem like she wanted to keep everything the way that it was, because it seemed like she was in a state of waiting." It was a poignant observation that spoke to the internal conflict Kyle was likely feeling, a desire to move forward while still clinging to the hope that the life she once had could be restored. Mauricio's reaction to Kyle's changes. While Kyle had taken significant steps to adjust the way her home reflected her evolving reality, there was one moment that highlighted just how much things had shifted for both her and Mauricio. During Season 14, Episode 3 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Mauricio paid a visit to the family home and was greeted with some unexpected changes. Upon walking into the bathroom, Mauricio noticed that Kyle had painted the walls a new shade of gray. He was taken aback by the change, exclaiming, "Oh my God, you painted the bathroom." His surprise was not just because of the change itself, but because it was one of those small, everyday details that reminded him of the life they had built together, a life that now felt disconnected. "Oh my God," he repeated as if trying to process the idea that the home he once shared with Kyle was evolving without him. But it didn't stop there. Kyle, in a moment of vulnerability mixed with practicality, revealed that she had also moved some of her things into his closet. "I may or may not have put some of my things in your closet because I needed some space, and I was like, it's just sitting there," she confessed, and Mauricio's response, "Oh my God," captured his surprise at how easily Kyle had begun to rearrange her life, both literally and figuratively. Kyle's actions were reflective of a deeper shift. It was no longer about maintaining the home, as it once was, but making it fit the new reality of their relationship. The home, which had once been filled with memories and photos of a unified family, was now being adapted to reflect the tension and distance that had entered their lives. The closet, once shared space, had become another place for Kyle to carve out a new life for herself. Moving forward, the changes Kyle has made to her home reflect much more than a simple redecoration. They speak to the complexities of a relationship that is still in the process of transforming. Kyle's decision to remove the photos and rework the space she shares with Mauricio is not just about a physical space. It is about finding her own personal space in the midst of uncertainty.